Welcome to the third session of the EICC Virtual Career Day. We are so pleased today to have with us Mandy Parchert from the HNI Corporation. Mandy works in human resources at the Workforce Development Business Partner for HNI Corporation, a leading manufacturer of workplace furnishings based in Muscatine, Iowa. She specializes in recruitment and the identification and retention of future pipelines of talent. Mandy has a bachelor's degree in human resource management from St. Louis University and a master's degree in business administration from Western Illinois University. So we're so happy to have Mandy here with us today. I'm Heather Evans, and I serve in admissions and community outreach at Eastern Iowa Community Colleges, based out of our Clinton campus. And with me is also from EICC, Dustin DeWert.
Hello, my name is Dustin DeWert, and I work with Voc Rehab. I also work with Eastern Iowa Community College, like Heather said. But my role is to go into high schools and offer up options and decisions for students to make in regards to whether or not they want to enter the workforce after high school or going to college. So I help with FAFSAs and talking with admissions to talk about programming. But a lot of the work I do with is working with students on, even getting like a part-time job and figuring out those little things like interview questions, how to fill out an application appropriately, what to wear to an interview, so all that good stuff. So we just, prepare high school students for that next level, do a lot of career discovery and try to figure out what pathway best fits what the students want to do, and just working on that overall process of figuring out that next step. So that is me.
Wonderful. So I believe we're going to start by showing a video. Does that sound good, Mandy? Start with the video?
That'd be great.
One of the key elements that really sets HNI apart is the way we view development. And it's finding members who have this cultural alignment and then giving them perspective. And so in my 25 years, I've actually had 22 different roles in multiple locations, and being able to understand and see all the different functional parts of the business have been fantastic.
I think people typically think that they've got to move up to develop, but really there's the organization is, you've got operations, supply chain, you've got product development. So there's all kinds of opportunities to move lateral to continue to develop yourself.
That member-owner culture means that I can treat HNI like it was my own business. I and others, we have authorization to go out and try new ideas. So we do have freedom to fail. We want to fail faster. We want to learn from that if we do fail and then try something else.
We intentionally go out and look for members who are great problem solvers, who have this service mentality, and then we put this set of tools that we call rapid continuous improvement wrapped around that, and it really creates this very intense focus around driving improvement and solving problems and always reaching for the next step or the next thing beyond.
I think it's very valuable to continue to hire from outside our four walls, bring in fresh ideas, different experiences, but I also think that there's great opportunity within. An operations guy going into supply chain or product development just brings a different experience to the table.
Starting out as a temp in 1997 and working my way through the organization and into the role that I'm at now, I feel that growth is something that the company values very much so as far as internally. I think that as long as you're willing to perform and show that you have the ability to learn, then the sky's the limit here.
You don't want to stand still. You always want to find a better way. And member-owner culture means that you have the authorization and the obligation to do that.
The way we respond to things that crop up every day is one of the things I really appreciate about our organization.
Wonderful video. Thanks so much. Mandy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Heather, and thanks for showing the video. So that's just to give you kind of a taste of what our business is and what we do. give you some images of what a manufacturing facility looks like, because obviously we wish we were in person with you today, but we can't be. So to step back a little bit, again, thank you, Heather, for the introduction. My name is Mandy Parchert. I've been with HNI Corporation, Han and All Steel, for a little over 8 years now. I've had 5 roles in the 8 years that I've been here, and I'm currently in the workforce development scope, which basically means that I work with students like all of you, as well as educators, to help you understand the different career paths and skills needed in manufacturing and what that means. So HNI Corporation, if you've heard of us or not, we're headquartered in Muscatine, Iowa. We are the parent company of Han and All Steel and several other organizations that you may or may not recognize, but Han and All Steel are really the 2 other largest ones in our region that are most recognizable. And we do workplace furnishings. We truly make workplace furnishings. But what does that mean? Right? Most students and even educators have no clue. But if you think about it, it's really the desks, the chairs that you use every day in school, when you go to the doctor's office. If you were to look under the desk or look under the chair, it likely has a Han logo or an All Steel logo or one of our other brands. So the way we're organized is HNI doesn't actually build anything, but they're that parent company, they're the umbrella, they're the organization. So if you think of, I always relate it to Coca-Cola, right? You have the different flavors of Coca-Cola soda, but you also have the large organization that oversees all of them. That's how we're structured similarly. HNI is that broader umbrella, and then we have Han, we have All Steel, and several other different organizations that make up our business. So as we talk about kind of what do we do and what do we make in manufacturing, often what I hear is, yeah, manufacturing is the process of making things. And that's absolutely true, right? We make the desks, the chairs, and since the pandemic, we now make plexiglass divider walls and several other different types of products that allows students and educators and employees to get back to the office, get back to the work environment, get back to school, and be able to do what they need to do safely. So anything as you're thinking of workplace furnishings, and what that means is really what we make in Muscatine, Iowa. We have 4,000 employees, or what we call members here locally. We have 10,000 worldwide. So we are a global organization. We have business all across the United States, as well as in India and China. And so it really does just create this great opportunity of an organization in your backyard that can create a really great career path within the manufacturing industry. As you think about some of the careers in manufacturing, it varies. You know, when I talk to students, often the jobs that come up are welding or assemblers. These are the truly production-based jobs that go into directly making the product, working on the machines or working with some type of technology to fabricate or put pieces of parts together to make that final product, right? Putting the wheels on the chair, putting the seat on the chair, turning it into what you would actually use as a customer. However, in manufacturing, there's so many other jobs available, such as myself, right? I'm in human resources. I help people find jobs. I help them understand the skills needed to be successful and develop their career. In human resources, we're also responsible for benefits and pay and training and development, and really anything that a member, an employee, would need to be successful while on the job. There's also positions in accounting and finance. So these are the people that manage the money, right? Manage the numbers and the success rates financially through our business. We have engineers and managers and supply chain professionals. We have sales team members. We have an enormous IT department to really keep our business running in this day of age, and so many other roles and functions as well. So when I describe manufacturing and the skills and careers that are available, it's so much more than just the process of making things. Usually, if you want to be anything other than maybe healthcare, a doctor, work with animals, we probably have a job for you in manufacturing. So I'll go into a few of those and maybe some of the skills and then some advice, and then we'll open it up to questions for those on this meeting. So as you think of our production jobs, again, those more traditional manufacturing-based roles, they are shift-based and they pay on an hourly basis. With HNI, we start out making $13 an hour, but based on the years of experience that you have, the skills that you have, you can definitely make significantly more per hour. We have a first shift, second shift, or third shift. First shift is usually more of your traditional days. Second shift, you're starting in the afternoon and working until the evenings. And then third shift is more of an overnight capability and shift workload. So, often you hear that manufacturing isn't flexible. And yes, we have shifts and yes, we have structure, but you can really pick and choose the shift that works for your lifestyle based on business need and availability and your family and what you look for. I know I am not a morning person. I don't do well in the mornings. And so I certainly prefer more of that afternoon or the evening shift if possible. The skills required in those roles are more technical based. They do not require a 4-year college degree. Usually they require a high school diploma and then interest and aspiration to develop your skills, work with your hands. They are usually more physical based roles. You're not sitting at a computer all day. You're going to be working with your hands, building parts, and ultimately delivering to customers that final product of what they would be looking for. Again, a welder, there's obviously the technologies that would go into welding, similar with CNC machine operation. Assembly, you're using more hand-based tools like hammers and wrenches and some other power tools to truly assemble and put the parts together. But there's all types of different jobs within manufacturing. Again, the skill level does not require additional education, but it does require additional training. So that's one piece of advice I always give to students, is that a skill that we look for in every single role is the interest in continual learning. It doesn't mean that you have to commit to a 4-year college degree and sit in a classroom every day for multiple years before you're qualified for the job, but you are going to have to continuously learn how to improve the role, how to do your job and do it well, in addition to showing up. Attendance is really the number one skill that we need. It's also the number one reason why people lose their jobs. If you're not at work, you don't get paid. Plain and simple, right? That's why we work, is to make a living, to do what we want to do outside of work. And so attendance is really, really critical, in addition to just that willingness and ability to learn new skills and learn how to do the job and do it well. But I would say production roles are definitely more hands-on based, again, not that computer-based role. One of the challenges and questions I always ask students is, what type of work environment do you like? Do you do well in a traditional classroom? Do you like sitting at a desk and listening? Do you like working at a computer? Or do you prefer to be on your feet, working with your hands? Are you a visual learner where you want to kind of try it out and learn as you go? Those type of interests can really define what type of role may be best for you in the work world. As you think about other roles available within manufacturing, so as we think of engineering, management, human resources, even sales and marketing and IT, many of these roles, again, attendance is critical, right? The work doesn't get done if you're not here. And if you're not here, someone else has to do it for you. We've probably all been on a team project where someone doesn't do their workload and the rest of the group has to pick up the pieces. That's painful, right? Again, that's why attendance is so critical, and in the workforce as well as in school. But as you think of some of these other roles that we would call more salary-based roles, they do typically require some type of formal continued education, whether that's an associate's degree or 4-year technical degree. It depends on the role that you're going into. But beyond that, you can still then start applying it in the workforce. We offer internships and job shadows and tours and all types of on-the-job learning opportunities for you as students, whether it's in high school or through college or formal technical training organizations, that you can actually get the hands-on experience and better learn, is this the type of career that I want to do? So it definitely varies, again, the level of education, but you get to pick that path, right? And that's something that we value at HNI, is you really get to own your career. As we can probably all agree, college is expensive, right? It costs a lot. One of the benefits that HNI offers is that we will actually pay 80% of your continued education if you're working for us and then going back to school part-time. So we get a ton of members who will start working for us right out of high school. You do have to be 18 to work in our environment and in a manufacturing setting, unless it's a part of an apprenticeship program or an on-the-job learning experience. But to work full-time and apply to our positions, again, you have to be 18 minimum. And then once you're working for us, again, let's say you desire to be an engineer or to be a manager, we'll pay for your education to go back and get those skills that you would need to be qualified. As mentioned in my introduction, I recently completed my advanced graduate degree, my MBA. I didn't pay for it. the company did. And it was a great way for me to grow my career, grow my skills, while having the financial support of the organization to do that. And that's certainly something that I admire about this organization, and that I encourage students to consider when they're considering an employer, is your offer with a company or your compensation with the company is so much more than just the pay that's going to go in your pocket each week. And you have to really realize what is important to you now, what's important to me in the future, and what makes sense, and how do I understand what this company is really offering me, and what is that value. Healthcare benefits is another thing that students often don't realize the importance of. But essentially what that means is that when you go to the doctor, the company pays for it, right? Or that there is a system in place to ensure that when you go and you need medical care, that you are covered and taken care of. And having those benefits available, provided by a company, is invaluable, especially during a pandemic. So just some other benefits to think about. One of the other benefits I think students don't realize all the time is 401ks or retirement benefits. And we can certainly dig into some of these topics more if there's additional questions. But retirement benefits, and that's the goal why we go to work today, right? Why we go to work after high school is that I don't want to work forever. Right? I want to work hard now so that one day I don't have to, and I'm still going to get paid. That's what retirement benefits are, whether it's through a 401k plan or through other benefit options. Most companies will offer you something in some regard. So understanding how you can basically save the money now or get the contributions from the company now, so that you have that money that in 20, 30 years, whatever it may be, you don't have to work and you're still going to get paid. So all types of benefits to get to discuss more, and I'm happy to dive in more. But again, the things that I really wanted to cover today is what is manufacturing, who is HNI, what are some of the careers that we have available and the skills that are required for those roles, as well as the benefits that you can expect from a career in manufacturing. With that, we'll open it up for questions.
Were you asking a question, Dustin? I saw your thing light up, sorry.
Sure, I can. I guess I don't, nothing off this sheet yet, but I kind of want to know, I guess, just for myself and kind of students I work with. I have a lot of kids that are interested in going into manufacturing. So 17, 18-year-old kids, what would your advice be to some of those kids in regards to just the overall employment process and what it's like to get, hired, because they're kind of younger, maybe not experienced in the whole working field and things like that. But I think that's majority of the kids I work with. I mean, a lot of them have expressed interest in HON and a component of HON with the multiple buildings that you guys have. So I guess what would be the advice you would give a 17, 18-year-old kid that's interested in manufacturing?
Yeah, absolutely. First step is to apply. So if you go to HNIcareers.com, you can see all of our available positions, and it changes daily. So that's always the first step, is to go online and be resilient, go on there frequently, apply to multiple positions that you qualify for, and get your application in. With HNI, we actually have a team of recruiters, and you can always walk in and see us now too. We have some COVID restrictions in place, but for the most part, we have an office staffed of recruiters on 5th Street in Muscatine, where you can actually come into our recruitment center and speak to someone directly, and they'll actually help you with the application. So our entire process, it is online, and we have that set up so that we can direct applicants straight to a hiring manager. But the first step would be through our initial recruitment team, which is basically of human resources professionals that are trained to understand what are we hiring for and what are those key skills that we're looking for. I'd say the main advice for students is you might not have much experience, but you do, and you probably don't realize it. So how to translate the experiences that you have, whether it's through the classroom, whether it's through a part-time job in fast food, whether it's through mowing lawns on the weekend, whatever it might be, you've had some experience either working with people, working with teams, ensuring that you've done a job and you've done it well. So kind of that quality aspect is really important in an interview process to be able to translate. Safety is really critical in manufacturing. So often we'll ask, give us an example of how you've worked safely. Again, that doesn't have to be an on-the-job experience, but it could be, ensuring you're crossing the road safely is still just an understanding from us that you think safely is what we want to see. So working to articulate and be able to communicate how you demonstrate certain skills, regardless of the setting. It doesn't have to be from a paid job experience. I'll say those that have fast food experience too is actually very relevant as you think of working in teams, quality, speed, focus on the customer. All of those skill sets are very, very relevant to manufacturing. The setting is just a little bit different. So definitely be prepared to translate your experiences that you have to relevant skills as you think of quality, safety, teamwork, communication, all of that. That's really, really important. Once you get through kind of that first interview process, the recruiter will actually set you up to meet face-to-face with a specific hiring manager if you're qualified. You'll get to tour a facility, so you'll actually get to see the job and make sure that it's really the right fit for you and that you know what you're truly applying for and what you could be doing. They'll ask a few more probably technical questions, but still very specific to your experiences that you have. And if you don't have any, again, it's about translating them, right? But they'll go into a little more depth on probably the quality, the safety, your comfort level working with machines. And they're looking for confidence and strong communications. If you don't think you can do the job, likely a manager's not going to think you can do the job either. So being optimistic, showing your interest, speaking of good attendance, I would almost guarantee you that will be an interview question. And even if you don't have a job, it'll be, well, what has your attendance been in school? When I'm in a classroom with students, non-pandemic timeframe, I always ask, who has less than 6 absences this year, depending on the time of year that we're in, and hands will raise, and I say, great, you all still have a job. And so just really realizing that attendance is important and it makes or breaks your career, and simply showing up. If you can show up, you stand apart from many of your peers when it comes to the workforce. Other things to prepare for in an interview is that we do a drug screen and background check. That's usually done on site. The background check is usually just a simple paperwork form. The drug test is usually like a saliva kind of instant test in person there locally. So we do, again, as a manufacturing facility, compliance and safety are critical, and we want to make sure that we're hiring the right people who make good decisions in that type of environment. So drug screen background check would also be included. But then after that tour and the interview with the hiring manager, you could expect an offer. It's usually either electronically sent or given to you in paper, and it really communicates the details of the position, what you would be expected to do, the pay rate, the benefits included, as well as the start date. And then usually you have, we like people to accept as soon as possible, but you'll have some time to think about it and make the right decision. But I would say total time frame, if you were to come in on a Monday and start the process with our recruitment team and have your application in, we could potentially have you start as early as that following Monday. So it is a relatively quick process. If you get your application in, you complete the paperwork, you're available and interested to work through the process, we can move through it pretty quickly too. Hopefully that answered. Any follow-ups, Dustin?
No, well, I think that I like, your thought process when it comes to work experience. A lot of kids think, that they don't have to work and it's not really benefiting them. So I go rounds with students in regards to just gaining that work experience and just being involved with the team and being able to communicate with the team, and that's as easy as working at, Burger King or wherever else. So I tell kids just to get out there and get that work experience, because it is going to benefit you in the long run, just being able to know what a job's like. So I think that's great that you guys even look at the people that are working at fast food and other jobs in the area. A kind of a follow-up question is, let's say I'm 18 and I'm a senior and I do a lot of welding. I'm taking welding classes. How much does that benefit when it comes to, I don't know if you guys said that you pay for welding certificates, but
Yeah,
I guess just speak on welding and any kind of experience with that.
Yeah, I would say for, welding is definitely a higher level skilled position. We typically, if you have no welding experience, we're likely not going to hire you into a welding position. We'd probably hire you into an assembly position and then get you some experience while on the job. However, if you're a high school student and you've gone through any of the high school welding programs, or you've taken a couple classes at EICC in welding, that is more than enough kind of initial experience in welding to be qualified for our welding positions. And they do usually pay more because it is more of a skilled role. On the flip side, though, we would pay you and help encourage that continued education if you were to start out in more of that true entry-level role in assembly and work your way up to a welding role. But yeah, having just the basic classes, most of our welding is MIG based. You know, I talk a lot about welding because it is such an exciting field, I think, in education right now, and a lot of students really desire welding. However, they also desire robots. So it's interesting about our business is if you think about workplace furnishings, desks and chairs, the metals that we use are usually pretty thin metals. You know, it's not like heavily extensive welding as maybe some other companies in our area or broader regions. So what we've actually done is we use a ton of robotic welding. That skill base, again, you want to have the interest and the knowledge of what welding is, but you also need to know like what CNC machinery is and the automation and the robotics and just the machine operation piece of manufacturing. And if you know that those broader skills, you have a much broader career path within manufacturing. But I completely agree that any industrial technology class that you can take at that high school level, or even for dual credit while in high school with the community college, only sets you up for success to transition into the workforce because you already have those skills, and it puts you not only at that higher skill level, higher pay bracket, and really sets you apart from other candidates, which makes you much more likely to get the job. Good follow-up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do when I'm working with the students. If they're not taking welding or any type of, you know, class is going to prepare them even for any job, it's kind of wasting their time. I'm like, you know, take welding and see if that's something that you're interested in, and then, you know, follow up with Han and see, you know, what they can do for you as well. So I mean, I think it's great that you look at that too and see that they do have a little bit of welding experience from some of the classes that they took, and it's going to benefit them. So yeah.
Yeah, I think for high school students who are just turning 18 and really anyone entering the workforce, you know, there's not much to look at. So we look at the education, we look at what classes you took, what did you like? You know, we're not looking for 4.0 students, but if you're pursuing a welding career too, I don't want to see an F or, you know, a D in welding. I want to see, you know, if maybe you're struggling in English or some of these other courses, all right, we can maybe justify that. But if you're pursuing welding, I want to see, you know, strong academic success in those functions. And I'd say that's typically what we see of students is, again, we're not looking for that perfect student. You know, often the students that are most successful in that production-based kind of hands-on manufacturing maybe struggle in the traditional classroom because they are more of that hands-on learner. And so we're not looking at that true GPA and that, but we do want to see some level of academic success aligned to your interests, in addition to just attendance and willingness to learn, kind of that ability to learn. I'll also say math is critical, right? I think it's often difficult in high school. It's often difficult to focus, and it's difficult to really relate to the workforce and how it applies in reality. And some of that's true. I definitely took some high school, college math classes that I have not applied specifically to my career. But the ability to learn how to problem solve, how to work a problem and get to a solution is definitely a relatable skill that math teaches. In addition to the courses like algebra, geometry, I mean, just basic math classes, understanding decimals and, you know, addition, subtraction measures is extremely critical in manufacturing.
I love the relevancy and practicality emphasis that you put on the translation of skills. I think that there's so much to be said for that, whatever direction students are going. And I don't know that they give or that they even understand that translation of skills and experience really can be a great asset as they're just kind of moving their way through figuring out whatever it is they might want to do. So the fact that there's so much emphasis on that from you all is, I think, just really wonderful.
Well, no, I didn't touch on it in my introduction, but I, went through high school. I loved my high school, loved my friends, loved the experiences, but I really didn't come out of high school knowing what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be a doctor. I went to St. Louis University, originally pursued bio and the pre-med route. I took calculus and biology and chemistry and physics and all these classes that I struggled through and paid a lot of money, like 30 grand a year to take, that has no application to my career, really what I enjoy now. I spent a lot of money to realize what I didn't want to do. Is it still beneficial now looking back? Absolutely. I wouldn't regret it. But I wish I would have had the experiences like this in high school. And that's part of what I love about my job now, is to try to help students be able to answer the questions that I didn't even know to ask when I was in their shoes or in this type of setting. So I think anything we can do just to help students understand that there isn't just one path. There's multiple paths and I get to choose. I can have a say and it can align to what I'm not only good at, but what I like to do. I wish someone would have told me that in high school to get me thinking differently. Again, my path is where it is and it's where I've ended up, and I wouldn't change it for the world, but I do wish I had just additional conversations when I was 17, 18, even earlier, in 8th grade and on, when you start thinking about careers and what you like, but you don't realize the path. It was more all of you have to go to college. That is the path and you'll figure it out there. Well, there's ways to figure it out sooner than that.
It's wonderful advice, and certainly something that I hope more students will be taking advantage of, those opportunities with the courses and the conversations and things like this today. So being able to get more information earlier.
Yeah, great.
Do you have any other questions at all, Dustin?
I have just one more, and it's kind of more of I guess it's not personal, but it's not really work related. But if I'm gonna, how big is HAN in regards to the manufacturing of desk furnitures? Are you guys kind of more at the top level? I just personally want to know kind of how you guys are. I mean, I know I see a lot of HAN stuff locally, even at our school, at the schools that I go into, and a lot of furniture. So I was just kind of wondering personally if that's how big HAN is.
Great question. Related to the market, we're huge. I mean, we bounce between second and third largest in the world when it comes to the manufacturing processes. We also make hearth products, which is essentially fireplaces. And so if you have a fireplace in your home and you look at the brand, it's likely one of ours also. We're number one in the world by a long shot when it comes to that hearth market or that fireplace market too. So yes, usually number 2 in the world for workplace furnishings, and then 1 when it comes to fireplaces, which is pretty fascinating. Last I checked, we were like the 4th largest publicly traded organization in Iowa too. In Muscatine, we are the largest organization significantly, and that's really encompassing kind of our broader region. With 4,000 people locally here, it's a pretty large footprint, and we get people from Quad Cities, Iowa City, DeWitt, Aledo, Burlington, kind of all the surrounding area. We attract and bring to Muscatine. Many people live here too, but we definitely have a large commuter population as well.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I knew you guys were big. I just was kind of wondering how big. And I mean, I think that's incentive too to come work for one of the the biggest and best furniture making places in the area or in the world, not even just the area. So I think that high school students, I plug that too. And how many different locations there are just in Muscatine? Was there like 8 or 9 different buildings that you guys have, or?
Yeah, at least, and it's been expanding. I mean, yeah, we have multiple. I mean, we have 3 corporate facilities, big, large buildings, and then we have about 3 times that as much for our factories. And that's part of the shame, I think, in manufacturing, is that they're often big buildings that don't have logos on them. There's not as many windows, so you can't see what's actually going on. And most people have probably driven by our facilities and have no clue what's inside. And so that's why, again, we love doing these events. We like sharing the videos. We like trying to give a glimpse of to what manufacturing really is, because most people don't know. But yeah, definitely a large organization in the area, as well as within the broader region, which is certainly exciting, I think, to work for too. But I know when I moved to the area, gosh, it's been a little over 10 years, I had no clue what H&I Steel were. I'd never heard of the businesses. And I think typically our sales approach is more business to business, right? We sell to schools more so than we do to an individual. That's changed pretty significantly with the pandemic and the work from home market and all of that, and Amazon and the gaming network. We have a really large gaming product line, so gaming chairs and desks and things like that. So we usually get a lot of students who know about the Respawn product line. That's ours also. But yeah, I had no clue who the business was, because I had never turned over a chair to see the logo. I used the product every day since I was probably in kindergarten. So yeah, I think that's just what's interesting too, and the trade-off is sometimes people want something that they recognize to work with, right? And I think that's part of the trade-off. But what I've really liked about H&I and just our business and the way that we're organized is that, yes, we have strong regulations and quality measures that we adhere to. But at the end of the day, we make office furniture, right? We make desks, we make chairs. That allows us to take some risks. We can get exciting, we can get creative. And it really creates a great place to work as a technical individual or as an office member, to have the autonomy in our work, as well as the empowerment to drive change and be a part of something bigger, because the risk is a little bit lower than making heart monitors or food or something in those more heavily regulated industries. We can get creative, we can take some risks, we can fail forward, and learn as we go and move fast. And that's certainly been one of the big attractions that I've had to the business.
Yeah, I think it says a lot just to have, you guys locally in the area and being such a big corporation. A lot of people don't take full advantage of that and realize, really what's in their backyard. Like you say, nobody really looks underneath their desk chair in high school and figure out that it's made at, Muscatine, Iowa. So I think that just having you guys locally and giving what you guys give back to the communities, a great thing too, and hiring local people and, really just making Muscatine, bigger than what it is. It's a lot of people don't realize that.
Mm-hmm. Completely agreed. So yeah, if interested, 18 or above, check us out, hnicareers.com.
Thank you so much, Mandy, and to the HNI Corporation. And we just really appreciate the time you took today. And we hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thanks for having me.